Vanilla WoW had a few class quests that were quite ridiculously difficult for almost no reason, and Hunters had a pretty nice one. In order to get the best bow in the game at the time, Rhok'Delar, Longbow of the Ancient Keepers, you had to go to Molten Core and defeat Majordomo to get the Ancient Petrified Leaf, which started the quest chain. The leaf gives you a quest to find the owner. Back in vanilla, quests were pretty vague. The guy you were looking for didn't appear until you were standing exactly in the right spot. So anyway, the quest giver would give you the task to kill 4 demons and gather the mature black dragon sinew, an item that dropped off of Onyxia. There was also another guy next to him that would give you a really nice quiver if you gave him the blue dragon bits from Onyxia. All 4 demons were rare elites and despawned if you approached them with anyone, including your pet, so you had to make sure no one was around to talk to them, and then they would reveal their demon form. All 4 demons had a special ability that could kill you quite quickly, and each demon had a weakness to one of the hunter abilities. Arturus the Amiable in Winter Spring looks like a Tauren and turns into a Doomlord when you talk to him. The Doomlord's special ability is to place a dot on you that would do a ton of damage and lasted 3 minutes, so if it hit you, you died. He also enraged often and can one-shot you in melee. His weakness, though, was that his curse had a 30-yard range and he took 350% extra damage from Serpent Sting and received a debuff that did extra damage, which stacked. So all he had to do was kite him and reapply Serpent Sting as much as possible and shoot him with a rank 1 arcane shot every once in a while, because he would reset if all you used was Serpent Sting. The hard part of this fight was that you had to clear a kiting path before engaging him, otherwise you'd end up kiting him into one of the bears or a stealth cat nearby, and since you needed to use Aspect of the Cheetah to kite him, that daze could have killed you. Also, once he reached 20% health, he'd slow down a little, and if you went too far away from him, he would despawn, so you had to constantly keep him more than 30 yards away, while also not going too far away or running into anything. He also moved faster than you while going uphill, so his speed changed randomly. If you didn't know how to jump shot while going uphill, you couldn't kill this guy. Franklin the Friendly in the Burning Steppes looks like a human and turns into a Felguard when you talk to him. His special ability is a frenzy that he uses every 15 seconds that removes all magical effects and gave him a damage boost that would kill you quickly. Plus, he ran faster than normal speed, but slightly lower than Aspect of a Cheetah. So in theory, you could simply just kite him, but this guy had a lot of health and it was impossible to kill him without running out of mana. So eventually, you wouldn't have mana to use Concussive Shot anymore and he'd catch up to you and kill you. His weakness was Scorpion Sting, a sting that hunters use that would lower the target's hit chance by 5%. When used on Franklin, it would remove his frenzy and make him so his melee attacks only did 1 damage. So, to beat this guy, it was more mana efficient to just melee him down slowly with auto attacks. Since his frenzy removed all magical effects, he removed the Scorpion Sting every 15 seconds and started hitting really hard. So, all you did was wing clip him when you knew he was about to enrage. Wing clip, for all you new hunters out there, was this melee skill hunters had that applied a slow, but this slow was considered a physical debuff, just like Concussive Shot or Hamstring. So anyway, you'd wing clip, run out 8 yards because that was hunters when enraged back then, Scorpion Sting him once he was enraged, and then slowly run back into melee range and repeat every 15 seconds. Simone, the inconspicuous female troll in Ungoro Crater, would turn into a succubus called Simone the Seductress when you talked to her. Simone was a little different from the other 4 demons in one way. You see, when someone tried to help you with the quest, the demon would say something along the lines of, "Only a fool would stay in this battle," and then despawn. However, when Simone did exactly the same thing, another demon called the Cleaner would show up and attack everything, and this little guy was immune to all damage, so you had to run away or die. Simone's special ability was a debuff that reduced range attack power by a ton for 45 seconds, a lightning bolt that hit hard, and a pet that only did melee attacks but if left alone could kill you. Simone had 2 weaknesses, the first being that Viper Sting would silence her so she couldn't use Lightning Bolt. Viper Sting was a sting that would steal mana from the target, and Aspect of the Wild would reduce the damage of a Lightning Bolt by nearly 75%. Aspect of the Wild was an aspect that gave nature resist. Since she had 2 weaknesses and a pet to deal with, there were a few ways to kill her. The first and easiest way was to simply freeze trap the pet, silence Simone, and melee her to death. Since she was a caster, she didn't hit very hard. You also didn't need to keep running out to reapply Viper Sting because Scatter Shot was enough to interrupt Lightning Bolt here and there, and Aspect of the Wild made it so you didn't really take that much damage when you took a Lightning Bolt to the face. This method was only possible though if you had either Magic Dust or a Goblin Rocket Helm to CC the pet once the trap wore off, because in vanilla you couldn't use traps in combat. Method 2 was to freeze trap Simone and kite the pet. Once the pet was dead, you would just run in and melee her to death. Simone was considered the easiest of the 4 demons to beat. Nelson the Nice was a gnome in Silithus that turned into a dreadlord named Solenor the Slayer when you talked to him. Solenor was the hardest of the 4 demons to kill. His special ability was to hit hard in melee, randomly fear you with an instant cast spell that also did a ton of damage, and spawn bugs that moved slowly but hit super hard if they touched you. His weakness was wing clip, and it rooted him in place for 30 seconds. So, to beat him, you just had to wing clip him and circle around him and shoot him to death with serpent sting and auto shots while trying not to let the bugs catch you. Since he would randomly fear you, this was not the easiest thing to do, and depending on your fear path, you might even run away from him and have him despawn. Supposedly, he was also weak to Frost Trap, which made him do reduced melee damage. In melee range, you would not cast fear or the bugs, so you could just beat him to death with melee attacks, but this was notorious for not working and being bugged. Plus, once Frost Trap ended, you still had to go out and kite anyway, since you couldn't lay traps in combat. There was a way to make the fight a little easier by having a Warlock help you. All you had to do was challenge a Warlock to a duel and have them cast rank 1 Curse of Weakness on you, which lowered your armor a little but made you immune to fear for 2 minutes. Then just have the Warlock come out of hiding long enough to cast a debuff you when it falls off, which for some reason didn't count as helping since it was technically a debuff, not a buff. You also had to stay close to the PvP pole and have your Warlock friends stay out of the fight for it to work. Once you killed all 4 demons and brought their heads back to the quest giver, he'd give you the bow and staff and you could show off to all the other hunters who didn't have one, because most hunters who got the quest never completed it due to its difficulty. Funny little story about this video. At the very end of my History of Hunter Stings video, which was the second history video I ever made like over a year ago, I put a little slide at the very end of it saying that I'd make a video on this very quest chain coming soon. And what is it, about a year and 6 months later, here it is. I only made this video because I got asked to make it a couple times, and I've already made a couple things about it in other videos I've done. I've referenced it, I've talked about it, and I thought, hey, might as well finally make it since I've been really busy all week and I don't have another video in the works. So I was like, oh, I can probably make this one real quick. Ended up being a lot longer than I thought it would be, but I think it turned out pretty well for being a rush job.